So what I've done so far is to look at my ozone data in the reports and charts that the Toolbox has available, and I've completed that process for ozone. So we're going to move on now and look at our continuous PM 2.5 data. So since you now know the secrets of what each of these reports and charts present, I'm going to only demonstrate a few of these for PM 2.5. So the first thing I need to do is begin with changing the selections in the drop-down boxes on the left side of the form. So I need to change this to my PM 2.5 site, and that's S98. And my sampler is INPM25. My pollutant is PM25 continuous. And my sampling year for PM 2.5 data I want to look at is 2015. And again, that pre-populates with everything that's currently in the archive table for PM 2.5. So since I only have one biweekly data set that I've imported so far, I just have the 2 weeks here. And that's what I want to look at, so I don't need to change anything there. And just remember that if you were looking at QC checks, there may be data in your QC entry that were outside of this range. So you can change this, like say you did a QC check on January 1st, you can change this to January 1st to see that QC check. So remember that you have the flexibility to change these, and you can change them to values that aren't included in this drop-down list. The first thing I want to do is to check if I have any gaps in my PM 2.5 data. So I'm going to click on this button where it says Add Temporary Zero Value Pollutant Records for data gaps in this range. Different from my ozone data, I actually get a message box here saying that I do have some gaps in my data. So this tells me that I have 2 missing records in my data set. And it explains that if I want the toolbox to add temporary zero value records with a flag of GP, to go ahead and click OK. It also notes that this process could take a long time if there are many missing records to add. In this case, I only have 2, so it's not going to take very long to add those records. So I'm going to go ahead and have the toolbox to add those records for my reports and charts. So I'm going to click OK. And that was very quick since I only have 2 records to add. It gives me this message box that says the toolbox has added temporary zero value records for every gap in your pollutant data. So I click OK on that. I want to see where the toolbox added those records. So I'm going to click on the Report Hourly Concentration buttons near the top of the form. I'm not going to go through these quality control reports and charts for my PM 2.5 data because they're very similar to my ozone data. So I'm going to click on Reports Hourly Concentration. And now I want to find those data that it added. So I know that it flagged them with a GP, so I'm going to quickly scroll through my data and see if I can find those flagged with a GP. So here are my flags. The second page of the report, I see the 2 records that have a flag of GP. So those were at 1/6/2015 at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. The toolbox added these records because they were completely missing from the import file. So obviously there's no concentration values because they were just missing records that the toolbox added. So now we know where those records are. I'm going to click on Close Print Preview and take a look at the chart. So let's look at the corresponding chart here. So if you're really paying attention, you can see right here at 1/6/2015, there's a break in the line. So this is where the toolbox added those records. So that's how it looks when it adds the records. It shows up with a gap, just like when you invalidate data. So I'm curious what this report and chart would look like if I had not gap filled. So remember, the toolbox only temporarily does this gap filling. So if I close my reports and charts form, the toolbox erases those records out of it because it's something the toolbox added. It never erases records that you've added, but if it's something it added, it will take care of them and get them out of your data because that's not really your data. It's something the toolbox added. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to close Print Preview, and I am going to exit out of this form, and that's going to get rid of those GP records that the toolbox added. So exit out, and then I'm going to go back in. So I'll go back into Reports and Charts, and that refreshes the form, and those data that the toolbox added are no longer there. So let's take a look at that same report and chart without doing the gap fill and see what the differences are. So I find S98 and my sampler is INPM25, my pollutant is PM25 continuous, and my sampling year is 2015 again. I'm not going to click on this, and I'm going to go to reports and charts and look at the hourly concentration report first. So let's go to that second page of the report. So right here, those records are completely gone. So 1/6/2015 at 10 a.m. and 1/6/2015 at 11 a.m. are gone from the report. That's the difference of what gap filling does. So instead of seeing gap, we just see this jump in the data. So that's why you want to gap fill. And now let's look at the chart and see what the difference is. So now that break is no longer there. And I know it's a lot easier to see if we only look at a day's worth of data. So we're going to do that. So let's close print preview. So to only look at a day of data, we need to change this date range. So I want to change that to just 1/6/2015 because that's the time that I have the gaps in my data. So let's change this. Select 1/6/2015. We want to only look at that day, so our end day is going to be the same as our start day. And now let's look at just the chart for 1/6/15. So now we have a chart for only 1 day's worth of data. And let's take a look here. So we can see from our x-axis that 1/6/2015 goes from 9 to 12, and there's no gap right here. It doesn't show that, and that's misleading. So there's no points at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. So let's take a look at the 1 day's worth of data with the gaps added. So let's close print preview, and let's add those gaps back to our data because it's kind of misleading to have that in our chart. So I'm just going to do this again, and it's a quick process, and it went ahead and added those. So now let's take a look at our chart and see the difference. So now this is more what I want to see. So this clearly demonstrates that we had some problems with our instrument here, and we have some gaps here. So that's why you want to gap fill. So that pretty much does it for what I wanted to show you with the reports and charts. So I'm going to close print preview on this chart just so you know if you want to export your data into Microsoft Excel, which might be beneficial if you want to change the look of the chart. It's not easy to do that in Microsoft Access. So if you want to export them to Microsoft Excel, we have a SOP on that, and you can look at that and do the work in Excel if you want to change the look. Microsoft Excel is also better at handling large amounts of data and graphing that out. So if you wanted to look at 6 months of data at a time in a chart, you'd be way better off looking at that in Microsoft Excel. So please consult that SOP if you're interested in doing that. So I am done looking at the reports and charts for now. So I'm going to close this form by clicking on the Exit Form button. And that takes me back to the Fast Track form. And since I'm done working with the toolbox for now, I'm going to click on the Exit Form button to close this form, and that takes me back to the opening screen of the toolbox. And I'm going to close the toolbox by clicking on the X button to close Microsoft Access. That's in the top right corner of the screen. So I will do that, and then we will discuss the homework. So the homework for this module, which I think is incredibly exciting, and I'm sure you will too, is to use the continuous and filter methods reports and charts SOP as your guide, and use some of the reports and charts for the data that you have imported into the toolbox. If you've entered QC data into the toolbox, take a look at your QC data reports and charts, and for your continuous pollutant monitoring data, take a look at those reports and charts. And use this as an opportunity to explore your data, and think of the toolbox as a viewer for looking at your data from different angles. So if you found a couple of the reports and charts that you like, take a screen capture of them, and as your homework, email those to the instructors. If screen capture doesn't work for you, you can also do a print to file of those reports and then email that to the instructor.
Woohoo!